Everybody, welcome back to the Lechtech Musar podcast. We continue with the Pele Yoeitz. We are on page 153 in the art scroll, day 50 of Hachzik. Now we're going to talk about supporting one's relatives that are learning Torah, that it's both a privilege and a responsibility. We've spoken about this in the past. If a person himself can't learn, let you support your children. If you have a family that they have a brother who is a great Talmid Chacham, they should strive to give him the support for his learning. Anyone that's part of their father's extended family, take precedence over others. And the support will be added of merit for them and their father's soul. They should all accept the burden of his brother. If they can, they should accept to designate one brother to learn, in order that he shouldn't have to be occupied at all with any needs and the needs of his family. He should be able to just focus on the Torah. That he should have no troubling thoughts that worries him while he's learning Torah. His mind should be clear, crispy, and settled. Aside from the fact that they will receive great reward, they will also receive tremendous bracha from their parents because it's bringing them everyone a lot of shalom and happiness. We spoke about this in the past. And now we're going to talk about the fact that not only is there the only way, it's not necessarily that the only way to support Torah is with money. Even one does not have the ability to support Torah with money, he can do things with his physical self, to go and buy things, necessities for the Beis Medrash, for the koil, for the shul, or he's able to perform business deals for the Talmid Chacham, and know that the reward for attending those who learn Torah is great, and the same share of the schar is given to the soldiers who went out to fight the war. So what we're trying to say over here is that if a person goes out and he's busy fighting the war and he's letting the people stay put and he's fighting the war for them, they get tremendous schar. So it's the same thing. But nevertheless, a person is only obligated to do whatever there is within his abilities. Included in the mitzvah of supporting Torah and those who perform mitzvahs is to give them the honor and show them proper recognition they deserve. And one must be very careful not to close the door on people that are learning Torah and that do mitzvahs by belittling them, making fun. Regarding those great men who already possess true knowledge and understanding, they already reached the level of a Baal Torah and a person who is upright and good. There is little chance that they will change their ways due to meaning if they're already older and they're not going to be so vulnerable or susceptible. But people that are just beginning their learning, their journey in Torah, you have to be very careful not to knock or chas v'shalom to discourage them, and for you have to be very supportive and encourage them with dvarim tovim, pleasant words, uvemanus umanatanis. You have to reward them, you have to give them gifts. So this is beferish Pele Yoeitz, that you want to know if you can give gifts and rewards and incentives. It's right here. You have to encourage them. It's not easy. All given relative to the particular child or the person's disposition to motivate them to learn more Torah. Because we know and if proper encouragement is provided, then all those who see the honor of the Torah and who learn it, and the honor afforded to those who do mitzvahs, the Karvel and Malacha will be deeply inspired to try to get their hand in this trade of learning, V'Islav Libam B'Maram, and they'll be excited and eager. What are they going to say? If in this world such is given to those who do Hashem's will, how much more so will there be honor and reward given to the righteous in the next world? So we see over here is that it's not easy. The journey of Torah is no simple matter, and those that commit their lives to it, we have to encourage it, we have to support it, and chas v'shalom not do anything besides that, and especially those that are embarking on the journey of learning Torah, young children, young bachrim, to make it geshmak, to incentivize it, and to show them the beauty of Torah, the splendor, the ziv, the noah, the beauty, the sweetness of the Torah, and then they'll say that if the geshmak of Torah is so geshmak in this world, just shtazach far, imagine what's going to be in the next world. It's an amazing maisa, unbelievable maisa about being machzik Torah, about the importance of Torah. The maisa is with Chaim Volozhner. Chaim Volozhner was raising funds for Volozhin Yeshiva, and even the great Chaim Volozhner struggled to upkeep, to sustain his yeshiva, and he had to go fundraising like every Rosh Yeshiva these days, and he comes to a city in Europe and gets off the train, gets off the boat, and he's approached, he's looking around, doesn't really know where to go, he just knows that this is a city that has some gvirim, that has some walls, some affluence, and he's approached by this great usher. His name was Rav Baruch Zlotowitz. He was known to be a usher muflig, and he came to Rav Chaim Volozhner, and he said, Rav Chaim, what a schus it is to have you in town, come stay in my house, I'll take care of you, I'll make sure you have good food, I'm going to try to make sure you have as much yishuv adas as possible, come, we're going to take care of you. He understood what it meant to host Rav Chaim Volozhner for a few days in his house, and he grabbed the opportunity. Sit down, he shows Rav Chaim Volozhner his room, his accommodations, and he's so thankful, and he eats, and he takes care of him, and he's on the one hand, he has a tremendous yoke, and he's so overwhelmed with the responsibility as Bachram and Yungalite back in Volozhin that he has to take care of in the whole yeshiva, and it's a huge achrayus, but at the same time he just felt very comforted by the welcoming and the embrace and the hachnas zarchim of Rav Baruch. The next morning, the first day of the campaign, when Rav Chaim was about to embark and go door knocking and ask to solicit funds for the yeshiva, Rav Baruch says to Rav Chaim Volozhner, you think you're going out? Rav Chaim Volozhner, listen, you're going to stay in the house, you're going to learn Torah the entire time, and I'm going to go do all the fundraising, I'm going to do the grunt work, but you're not going out, you're going to stay over here. And he said, what do you mean? But I came here, this is what I said time for, I feel so bad. Back and forth, and Rav Baruch insisted, he said, Rav Chaim, you sit down, it's my covet, it's my schos, I'm going to do the fundraising, it's going to be all on me, I'm going to take care of it, you sit and learn, my schos. Okay? So, a few days go by, and every day Rav Chaim says, thank you so much, wow. And Rav Baruch feels so good, he sees that Rav Chaim Volozhner is sitting in his house, and he's learning, and he's able to have Nuchas HaNefesh. And after about a week, Rav Chaim Volozhner didn't want to ask Rav Baruch the exact finances and what's going on, but after a week he felt, okay, let me approach him and ask. And he says, no, you've been so good to me. I have no words to be able to express my thanks, but can I just ask you, how's the fundraising going? Are you being matzliach? Do you need me to go out? And he says, Rav Baruch says, listen, I told you I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to reach the target amount that's needed to sustain the yeshiva. And he says, right now, I'm a week in, I raised half of the money. Chaim Volozhner says, wow, you already raised half of the money in 1 week. Unbelievable, gewaldic. Okay. Another week goes by, and every day, Chaim Volozhner is learning, and Baruch sees, and again, he feels so good, and he feels so happy that he's able to provide this situation for Chaim Volozhner. And at the end of the second week, Chaim Volozhner goes and says, Rav Baruch, thank you so much. It's been unbelievable staying in your house. Can I just ask, how did the second week go? And Rav Baruch says, you're not going to believe it. Unbelievable, gewaldic. I raised the second half of the money. We reached the goal. We reached the cause match campaign. Everyone was so excited. Unbelievable, gewaldic. And of course, Rav Chaim Volozhner expressed his thanks, his akar toiv, and he left. He gets back to Volozhin, and he hears Mechayer Pargut from the grapevine. Here somehow he finds out that the money that Rav Baruch fundraised, really, it wasn't fundraised money. Really, all the money came from Rav Baruch himself. And when Reb Chaim learned about this, he immediately got in touch with Rav Baruch, and he asked him a very simple question. He said, I don't understand. He said, I stayed in your house for a little bit over 2 weeks. You took such good care of me, and I'm not one to ask any questions, but I just don't understand. Is it true that the money wasn't fundraised, that you didn't go door knocking, that you didn't schlep around like I would have done, and that you funded the entire thing? And the reply was yes, Taka. Rav Baruch said, I gave all the money. So the obvious question Rav Chaim Volozhin asked, he said, I don't understand. So if you had all the money, so why did it take 2 weeks? What happened? I came to you after the first week and you said you were able to raise half of the amount, and then the second week you said you were able to raise the entire thing. But if you had all the money, then what was the reason for this process? What happened? And Rav Baruch told Reb Chaim the following. He said, you don't understand how the Atzah Seiser works with people like me. He says, I know good and well that there's nothing more important, as we learned over here, that the Torah is the Eitz Chaimi l'machazikim ba, that the Torah supports those that cling, that hold on to it. I know that. And I know that my lot in Shemayim as a Zavulun is going to be, I'm going to be under the divine shade, just like those that I support. He said, but the Yetzer Hara comes and he spins me on my head 1,000 times and he says, no, he says, don't give the money. He says, it's your money. How can you give it away to Yeshivas Volozhin? How could you give it to Reb Chaim Volozhiner? And he said, the first week, he said, I was back and forth with the Yetzer Hara. Back and forth. I want to give more money and more money. And he says, no. And for a full week, I was fighting with the Yetzer Hara until finally, after the first week, I was able to come up with half of the money. And then the second week, the same exact thing happened, but it was only greater. And every day, I would say, okay, I'll go to business, and then afterwards, okay, this money I'm going to give to the Yeshivas of Volozhin. And the Yetzer Hara would say, no, you crazy, there's other things to do, and Torah is not the most important thing, and you have to keep it for yourself, and it was you worked so hard, and how are you going to give all the money to the Volozhin? And every day I'd have to work through it and beat the Yetzer Hara and fight and contend. And ultimately, after the second week, finally I was able to claim victory and say, I have the second half of the money I needed for Volozhin. But what does this tell us? This tells us that it's not so easy. As we learned over there, the Yetzer Hara is always going to come and batter us and assault us with every reason not to learn Torah and not to be busy with what's really important and to get caught up with all the materialism in this world. And what we have to do is remain resolute, is remain strong in mind and in heart, and be able to fight back and say, Mila Hashem Elai, as you saw over here. Who is going to come and say, I know what's the most important thing? Who's going to be able to come and say that if the Torah is so geschmack in this world, how much more geschmack is Torah, is mitzvahs, is our reward for everything that we exert, everything that we put into in this world, how much more is going to pay off in the next world? Rav Baruch was telling us that all the money in the world, there's Yetzer Hara to say, don't give it to Torah, because the Yetzer Hara knows good and well that there's nothing more important than Torah, there's nothing more coveted and beloved and cherished by the Eibishter than the Torah, than the Toimich Torah, those that support it, because the schar, as we learned, is exactly equal. And he had to work through every dollar the Yetzer Hara was fighting and saying, it's your money, don't give it. And he had to fight back and say, I'm giving it. And after 2 weeks, was he able to give him the full amount of money. And for us, that reminds us that as hard as it was for him to give all the money, it reminds us the value, the chashivus of Torah and what's really important in this world. And the harder it is, lefum tzar agra, as hard as it is to learn, to dedicate, to support Torah, that just shows us, that showcases and underscores the beauty, the reward of the Torah, of supporting the Torah, because that's what gives Hashem the most nachas ruach, the most divine pleasure in the entire world.